All right, that is done. Here we go. Whoa, there was the camera falling over. Okay, here we go. Welcome my friends, 7 Gray here. It is a rainy morning this morning. I hope weather is better for you where you're at while you're enjoying this video. I hope you enjoy it anyway. Today I am meeting with one of my subscribers in Oceanside, California. His name is Daniel. And he's going to help me with some troubleshooting on the step van electric system. In a past episode, which I'll link above, I developed a little bit of a problem. Lost some of my electronics in the step van. So over the past several days, I've been trying to solve this electric issue. Daniel arrived at Starbucks just a few minutes ago, and we are doing some troubleshooting today looking at the fuse box. So this is Daniel down here. He's got some tools out and he's taking a look. He says he thinks he's got it all figured out. Oops, except he dropped a tool. Daniel, what do you think's going on?
So I think the main problem here is the power feeding this back corner of the junction box fuse panel. The power source coming to that for all of his accessories that aren't working is where the problem lies. So we got to trace back, see where that feed wire is going to, and figure out where the connection is broken.
We are removing the fuse panel, taking it off. There's 2 giant long bolts. We just got them off. They're about this long here. And we're going to look at the back side of it and see if we can see if there's a power wire that goes back there. We don't think it's a ground wire because all the components have their own separate ground wires.
Alright, so I'm measuring here. The tail lamps has got 12 volts going to it in the off position. Same thing with the hazard lights. The horn is obviously off because the truck is not on. This top left corner, everything is off and dead. So we're going to look on the back side here and see what is feeding these circuits and try to determine if it's corrosion on the connection or if the wire is broken somewhere. Like Seven said, it's not a ground issue because each component that was previously working is individually grounded to right where they're mounted in their location, whether it be the ceiling for the Fantastic fans. Alright, so back here, these are all the 12 volt leads coming in to feed each one of these circuits, and I've measured the ones that do have power, and obviously it's the ones in this top corner where all of its accessories are plugged in which do not have power. There is a shunt that connects this block of circuits to this block of circuits, so I'm seeing where that power lead comes in to feed these two, and hopefully we can trace that back to see where the connection is broken or if it's just maybe corroded back here. As far as diagnosing this, we figured that all of the relays are good, and we measured the continuity between the relay, which relay feeds these accessories that aren't working. We determined that it was a horn relay that feeds power to this top area, and the connection between here and here is fine. It's the power lead, the 12 volt lead coming in here, there's no power we're measuring. So the issue is not here, it's further underneath the hood. And if we go underneath the hood, Seven did mention there's a wire disconnected. We determined it was this one here. We had to extend that lead a little bit longer, and when I wasn't able to measure any current off of this giant thick gauge wire that feeds his starter relay. So I suggested we clean this nut off, and as Seven went to undo this nut, it just cracked and broke his starter relay completely. So he is currently stuck in this parking lot until we can find this part, and hopefully it's easy to find. Most likely it's not.
So there you have it. The drama for today is that while trying to take this nut off here, I broke my starting relay, just totally cracked that thing off. It just broke, and so I don't think the step van will start at this point. I'm going to try it here, but I'm pretty sure it won't. There's an AutoZone across the street, but pretty sure this is going to be a special order part, and today is a Saturday, so I may be stuck in this parking lot for a few days. Who knows? We just went to lunch and went to the auto parts store. I am absolutely surprised. Found a relay over there, starter relay, that looks nearly identical to mine, except that mine is red and this one is gray. So gonna try to use this. I would be filming outside right now, but somebody's taking their lunch break, I think, or whatever, but they've got some rap music that's cranked up really, really loud right outside, so I'm sure that I can't video out there, so hopefully this doesn't get me flagged, but I'm gonna go pull this off and try to continue forward, and hopefully this one is identical or nearly or close enough to where it'll work for me. Looks like the rap music is gone, so I'm gonna go back under the hood out here, continue with the starter relay install, but gonna check in with Daniel, see what he's working on. Daniel, what are you working on?
I'm working on wiring up a remote relay, so to say, and we're gonna wire that one directly to a 12-volt lead underneath the hood, because we determined the wire that was connected to the existing fuse/relay panel is broken somewhere in between in the wire loom. So we're just gonna go ahead and run a new wire, and his existing fuse box, the relay, we're just gonna wire that up. It's just easier to wire with a remote relay harness.
Okay, so hopefully you all followed that. Current challenge I'm having is this nut that broke off, the bolt that broke off, is so rusted on here that I cannot get it to come off. So it may be that I have to clip 3 of these wires and put new rings on them in order to mount onto the new thing. It's the only solution I can think of. I'm running into multiple roadblocks at this point. Well, this is what's happened. I just cut this wire here. This is probably about a 4 gauge. And then I realized that I need to use a hammer crimper to crimp this back on, but I don't know how to get a hammer crimper up into this location, so really I need a crimper that uses handles on it. This has been a little bit of an ordeal trying to get this thing going. I think we've been working on this for what, 3 or 4 hours now?
Thought so.
And we almost have the starter relay put back in and everything rewired. We didn't have any 1/0 cable terminals. We couldn't heat shrink the cable on the 1/0 cable, so I had to go to a smoke shop to buy a butane torch, which was an interesting experience with the owner that was from India and didn't speak very good English, couldn't understand what I was asking for. It's just been a comedy of errors and roadblocks. But we think we finally have it wired again. Any thoughts, Daniel?
No, just that was an unexpected surprise, you snapping that off there for me.
yeah, I was just trying to disconnect the cables, do some testing, and broke the relay, so I guess that's it is what it is.
Yep.
What's next? Test it?
We're gonna finish buttoning up one more connection there, and then we gotta take care of the relay inside, then we can test it all.
Okay, it is time for the test. Gonna start it up and see if anything happens. If everything blows up on us, catches fire, the starter spins and won't stop, who knows? Nah, I think it probably will work. Gotta find the key. One last detail. I turned off the master disconnect switch, the battery, before we did all that. Gotta go switch that back on. Alright, that is done. Here we go. Whoa, there was the camera falling over. Okay, here we go. The big test. You ready?
Fingers crossed.
Well, it started. That's a good sign.
Sounds better.
Better?
It's better than this morning.
Yeah. All right. Thumbs up for that. Now we just have to test all of the stuff down here. Let me show you what that looks like. How's that for a bundle of wires? We're looking at wiring diagrams, and this is the relay that we're using here, this Form C. And it appears that the switching takes place between 87 and 87A, and the power source coming in is over here, which is number 30. And then there's power on these two. We're not exactly sure what these two do here, but 87 and 87A apparently is where the switching is taking place. We're trying to figure out how in the world to get this all back together and what went wrong and what was missing. And the theory right now is that center pole 87A is missing a wire for some reason. Any thoughts?
Yeah, essentially we just got to figure out how it was originally wired. Unfortunately, I didn't take a picture. The issue before was we weren't getting power, so we have a new power lead wire. It's feeding the relay. We just have to figure out the pinout diagram and just wire it up to this side of the fuse panel.
Daniel's driving away now. We were not able to resolve the problem with the relay and figure things out for the wiring, but that said, we did spend a significant amount of time getting the relay done. By the way, he's got a teardrop trailer. He's driving away right now. Love his teardrop trailer. I'll have to show you more of that later tomorrow. Maybe he'll bring it back. I don't know. So we weren't able to get the wiring completely fixed and get things going. I'm going to be meeting again with Daniel tomorrow to go back at this and go for attempt number 2. See if we can figure this out. That's all I have for this episode. Thank you for watching. Savor the moment. See you next episode.